Well, in front of a near sellout crowd tonight, 14,419 rabid Lobo fans, Utah State takes New Mexico behind the whooping shed and gets a 20-point victory, 86-66. This is a Lobo team who had come into this game 9-2 in Mountain West Conference play. They were undefeated at home. They had played so well throughout the good chunk of the Mountain West Conference season. Utah State came in and made a big statement tonight. This was a statement that will resonate around the rest of the Mountain West Conference as Utah State. It's one thing to get a win in the pit, and it's near impossible to do it. But it's one thing to get that win. It's another thing to get a blowout victory against a really good New Mexico team and, frankly, play probably your best defensive game of the year. Utah State held New Mexico well below their season average. The Lobos came into this game averaging 81 points a game and about 80 points a game in Mountain West Conference. They're only able to score 66. Utah State scores 86 against a team in New Mexico that was holding opponents in Mountain West play to 69 points a game. So the Aggies nearly go 20 points over the New Mexico average, and you just can't say enough about what Utah State was able to do from start to finish in this game en route to a huge blowout victory. All right, your post-game show brought to you by Farm Bureau agent Brandon Jensen. Contact him at 435-752-4800. It's your future. Time to protect it. Also, big shout-out to Alta Bank in donating goods to support the William A. Bernard Warming Center and keep our neighbors warm this center. Bring needed items to any Alta Bank branch or men's and women's home basketball games to learn more. All right, joining us now, the head coach of the Utah State Aggies is Utah State. It's one thing, Coach, to come into the get a win in the pit, a 20-point victory. That just doesn't happen. Remarkable performance by your guys.
Well,
there we go.
Yeah, I thought our guys had a good prep. Obviously this is a great team. Eric Owen's a great coach, but our guys are just better tonight. The focus was really, really good. We finally settled down with the pressure, and we had a lot of guys step up in this game, but what's winning is our rebounding and our defense that led to a lot of baskets. But this is a good win.
This is a team that came in averaging 27 threes a game and hitting about 38% of them in Mountain West play. You got Jake Hall, who's just been fantastic. He only gets 5 attempts from the three-point line. What were you able to do perimeter to slow them down?
Yeah, we knew he'd be a big part of their team. He's a tremendous player, probably the freshman of the year in this league. To do that type of defensive effort and attention to detail was awesome.
You had to juggle your lineups a little bit with foul trouble and then also with the Keller injury and work around the bigs a bit considering the foul trouble. And it seemed like you were able to push the right buttons there.
Yeah, Colby King, I thought, did a nice job when he was in the game making shots. Obviously Addie with 10 rebounds is tremendous for a freshman. Everybody kind of stepped up, but there was that stretch where Mace put us on his back, like 4 or 5 straight baskets. And the kids really, they fed off of that. It was pretty neat to see when he came to the bench. They just kept telling him, just keep going, keep going. But Mason's leadership was really good tonight. You can
tell game plan. They wanted to go after Drake a little bit and pressure him, and they got a couple turnovers. But also, I think a lot of you guys stepped up and helped out in a big way there.
Yeah, that's what they do. They're going to force a lot of turnovers because they pick you up, they gamble. We had to adjust a little bit, but we knew that was coming. All in all, our shooting percentages were really good, and we forced 15 turnovers.
Yeah.
When you force 15 turnovers on the road, you have a chance to be a really good team.
Well, and they forced 12, but you got 9 points. They got 9 points. You got 19 off of those 15.
Yeah, that was big, getting out and running and playing our game. So we'll enjoy tonight. We're going to stay here tomorrow. We'll be back in the pit tomorrow night to practice, walk through, shoot, nothing crazy. Get to Laramie on Friday, practice, and we know it's going to be a hell of a test Saturday night.
There's no doubt. The one thing I thought was really important in this game, and we can talk about individual plays that can kind of project a team going into halftime. Defensively, you force the shot clock violation, and then you get the bucket going into halftime. Can those little moments help dictate how things go?
I think every possession has a story, right? You got to try to tell it, right? Like now we're down to 9 games. It's been a few years since we've won in here, so this is a big win for us. But every possession is critical. Like even Addie shooting that 3, that's an ill-advised 3 that'll get you beat later on. it's not cute, you don't take that shot. But he's a freshman. He doesn't know any better. We didn't handle a sequence, probably 2 or 3 plays late in the second half when we got up. We scoreboard watch. You can't do that. You got to be killers. We talk about having a dog mentality on the road, and we did that tonight. But every possession's a chance for our team to grow and learn. And we only have 9 games left. If we don't get it done these last 9 games, there's no guarantee you're playing in March. So the sense of urgency throughout this week was good. It needs to be better the next 48 hours.
How's Zach holding up?
I don't know. I think it's a sprain. So we'll see, what that thing looks like in the morning. He'll rehab it tonight. And I thought he came out and really did a really good job defensively. Bodian, is the oldest freshman in America. I found out from Grammar today, this is his 1 year of eligibility. I mean, this is where we're at with college basketball. He's listed as a freshman, but he has 1 year left. I've never heard of that in my life. But he's a grown man,
yes.
Which he really is. So whether he's a freshman or a senior, I don't know what he is, but I have a ton of respect.
You were there, you watched the game, or you heard it all here on KVNU. So now it's your chance to give your thoughts and ask your questions about the action as KVNU Aggie Game Day continues with Aggie Call. The phone line is 435-753-KVNU. The text line is 435-554-1175. It's KVNU Aggie Call with J.D. Walker and Stockton Jukes.
Welcome to Is this thing on now? Testing. Welcome to Aggie Call after the post game here on KVNU. Sorry about the technical difficulties, ladies and gentlemen. Sometimes the mothership likes to take over for itself, but we're here live in Cache Valley at 11:30 at night, sitting at a very warm 33 degrees. And Stockton Jukes, tell me, my friend, how do you feel about this one? Different than you called it, that you predicted. So, my friend, do not go into the meteorology field or anything like that. You don't want to be talking about weather predictions or anything, but I think you're happy with the way this one turned out.
I love being wrong in this kind of a scenario. And listen, I will firmly stand by what I said in the pregame show, too. I am shocked at the way that this one played out, and I think everyone in Albuquerque is as well. That was, 36-33 at halftime for us to go on into the second half and outscore New Mexico 50-33 in the back half of that ball game. That's boy, what a showing for them. And yeah, I'm happy to take the L on this one. I'm preemptively going to go ahead and pick us to lose the next 9 games by 5 if this is what's going to happen. So yeah, no meteorology for me, but I will say the Aggies did the 3 things I said they had to do today to win that game. If they were going to have a chance to pull it off, they had to out-rebound New Mexico. They did that 37-28. They had to take the ball away from New Mexico and capitalize off those turnovers. They took the ball away from New Mexico 15 times and points off turnovers 19-9 in favor of Utah State. And they kept New Mexico away from those runs, away from those big crowd pop moments. The crowd in the pit really just never got into it after those first 8 minutes when it was going back and forth. Utah State didn't let them run. They had that 1-7-0 run early on in the game, and it just, we never had to deal with anything after that. The largest lead they ever had was 3 points 3.5 minutes into the game.
It's just wild to think about how this all went down. You think about the first half, when you get through, 36-33. And, a close game feels like it's going to be a heavyweight bout towards the second half. But then, the Lobos able to put up 33 points, but the Aggies really able to put it down 50 points in that second half to stun 14,000-plus pit attendees down there. And you guys were talking, it's the first time since, December 2024 that they had lost at the pit. Is that right, Stockton?
Yep, December 7th, 2024, they dropped the game to Utah Valley, and this would have been their 24th home win in a row. Not to be. Utah State, their best game of the season, unquestionably, for a variety of reasons. I'm not going to say their most complete game of the season because I think they've played better games against the likes of Wyoming and Colorado State. But given where this game was played, the context of the last few weeks of the season, the emotional factor of the opponent, the jawing back and forth that's gone on between these two teams, like Utah State owned this New Mexico team tonight and put them right back where they were 2 years ago for the last 2 decades. So I hope they had fun for the last 18 months, but the party's over.
It was a definitely a tale of two halves for the Aggies. 435-554-1175. We're waiting to hear from Coach Calhoun post-game. Jason Walker, I see him down the hall in the Fan Sister Studio down there getting some of that. And I don't know. I mean, we could hear from Mace. We could hear from MJ. I really hope Mr. Double-Double shows up. The first one, a double-double for Adlan. I mean, he's showing leaps and bounds. There are some freshman moments still that show up there, but you're seeing some refinement. You're seeing steals. He's had a couple blocks. He is all over the place. And with there being a little bit of foul trouble for the Aggie bigs, it was nice to see the freshmen step up. And
especially when we lost Keller in the first 10, 12 minutes of that game, to see him go down in significant pain and already, short front court got even shorter, got even smaller for Utah State. But, yeah, they did so well managing those minutes, managing those guys down low. And like everyone is saying, we've got a couple texts coming in. It's a late night. It's a Wednesday night, so it's probably going to be a little bit of a shorter Aggie call here. But the consensus on this one is, yeah, it's a good offensive performance, but boy, what a defensive performance. I mean, New Mexico, they shot 41.2 from the floor tonight, which not too far off their season average, but held them to 23% from behind the three-point line, 3 for 13. And matter of fact, I think they only made – no, they were 0 for 7 in the second half from behind the perimeter. And the 70% from the free throw line, just really, really good defense. And you didn't lose a lot, too, when you got baited into some of those contact fouls, because that was New Mexico's game plan for a majority of this game, was to create some really cheap contact halfway through the key and just sell the foul. And the refs were buying for a good bit of this game, but they stopped buying at one point, and New Mexico wasn't able to adjust. They weren't able to hit the free throws when they could get them, and they left 9 points on the floor in a 20-point loss.
For as many times, I mean, in the NBA, you get called for it now for flopping. Jake Hall is going to have a serious career. If he makes it to the NBA, very talented, but he's going to have a career as a flopper because, man, any contact, and it was like he was hit with an electric shock charged to his body.
Yeah, I'm starting to understand why his point totals are so inflated now. But
and it was, what did you call him, a foul harbinger?
Foul merchant.
Foul merchant. I like that. I like that out there. But it really didn't matter when you look at it. Wondering how D'Ayton Alberry was going to play. Minus 21 out there. He was trying. Man, you could tell towards the end of the game he was pushing so hard, but he only ended with 9 points, 3 for 10. 3 for 3 from the free throw line, 6 rebounds, 3 turnovers. Not really an impressive performance from this Lobo team, but a couple others to point out here. JT Rock had 10 minutes playing time, -1, 1 rebound, 1 block, no points, 0 for 1 for the floor.
That's the biggest stat line of the game for me tonight. To only play JT Rock for 10 minutes against a team that has struggled recently against size in the key, that's bad coaching to me.
Well, I thought they thought Buljan would really do better, but 4 for 8. He had a great game. Most of his stuff came from getting the fouls, and some of those, there was a 2-to-1 foul discrepancy a couple times, a couple runs throughout. But he had 4 personals and everything. I like a very talented player out there doing it. But on the other side of the box, I tell you, this was not – I didn't want to come in overconfident. The Aggies were a dog looking at this, but we'd seen what we saw in the last matchup here in the Spectrum against Wyoming. We've been waiting. They had an extra day of rest. It's only a matter of time before MJ Collins starts lighting up. Still not the greatest shooting performance from MJ, but when it mattered, it was there, plus 3 assists and 2 steals. Looking at this, kind of a complete team performance. On the stat sheet, looking at this, Stockton, I'm going to ask you, who stands out to you that maybe is an unsung hero for the Aggies tonight? And after we do that, we're going to jump to the text line at 435-554-1175.
It's Gary Clark. The answer is Gary Clark. He fouled out. He only played 17 minutes. He only had 6 points, but 4 big rebounds from him. Had a big block, a big takeaway. Didn't turn the ball over today. Had an assist as well, a +9 in those 17 minutes. I think that just his ability to come in and play solid minutes and just be on the court despite the foul trouble was a big eye-opener for me. Because, listen, Gary, he's going to get called for some of those fouls sometimes. He plays a very physical brand of basketball. It's gonna happen to him continuously as we go throughout the season and through the postseason. But having him on the floor is a benefit to this team, and I think we found that out over the last couple games. So I think, even despite the foul trouble, you got to be willing to put Gary Clark out there on the floor for more than 2-3 minutes per game, and that 17 minutes, he made pretty decent use out of it tonight.
Some of the times I see him pulled out is because of a sequence of plays where he's done something that you saw him get pulled out when he pulled him out real quick, and I think it's when we experienced another foul trouble on the other end. But what had happened is he had went to close it on a shooter instead of staying home, and it led to an easy bucket. And you can see when those little mental mistakes are made on the court, Calhoun's not waiting very long to yank him out, talk to him, and put him back in. Tonight, with Keller going down with what we've heard is a sprained ankle. They haven't really got a good shot to look at it yet. Imagine they'll get back to the team hotel or the treatment center, wherever they need to go to get Zach looked at. Jumping into the text line right now, 435-554-1175. We're going to go back and forth here as we've got, I believe, Coach Calhoun coming up. I'll wait to hear from Jason in just a second. But up first, 6'8", 6'3". Okay, what's the deal with our fouling? I feel like we have a ton of fouls every game. Are we fouling that much, or is it soft refs? Stockton, I think you're qualified to answer this one on that.
I was talking to Jason about this during the second half. I thought it was weird the way that game was officiated because, like I said, New Mexico, a bunch of foul merchants. They were just looking for cheap contacts, and the refs were buying that early in the game and for the first, majority of the first half. But it just it didn't stay consistently that way. It felt like to me the refs were calling the soft ones and letting the obvious ones go today. It was just the weirdest thing. There were some obvious calls that should have gone against Utah State that weren't whistled. It wouldn't have made a difference with a 20-point score differential anyway. But it was weird. It was one of those games where it wasn't officiated very well. It ended up washing out over the course of the game. But to me, they were focused on the opposite things they should have been focused on. So I'd say it was a mix. We still need to learn how to not swing through guys' arms while we play defense on the block. We've got to stop hacking at dudes. Especially if you're going to leave your feet. You've got to stay in your space. You can't jump into the shooter space. You can't be moving while the shooter is driving. You can't be swinging down on their forearms to try and get at the ball. That's going to draw those whistles. But I think it was a little bit of, aggressive defense mixed with weird officiating tonight. I'm not really going to say bad because I don't think it had much of an impact on the game. And officiating is okay as long as it doesn't impact the game that much. It was just weird.
Yeah, because you're right. There were some, tackle the quarterback moments. I can't call it the name it used to be called because of culture and everything, but, where somebody has the ball and everybody's going at them. There were a couple moments like that where, both Lobos and Aggies were getting really physical, and each side might have been looking for a foul, but the refs are kind of like, hey, play the game, let it work out. And, yeah, it was kind of weird some where there was just a brush, but other times. And then the 3-point play on MJ. Remember when he shot and the defender reached out and touched him in almost an inappropriate place there, and that's one of those calls that it didn't feel like we deserved to get that 3-point play, but it kind of went both ways in the game. So you know what? As it comes to it, it's better than the officiating crew last night for the Fresno State UNLV game, Stockton?
Say that one more time.
The Fresno State UNLV game last night?
Oh, my gosh.
Yeah.
Oh, my gosh. What was it, 63 total fouls?
Yeah, 0-500 coming up next. This is a very comfortable game, even with all the fouls on our team. I was never in doubt. Too bad Coach Sprinkle couldn't do the same in Washington. Cost me a 14 parlay. Adlan Elamin, who we'll hear in just a couple minutes post-game, was excellent. Templin needs to practice free throws, but his play was key in our win. Gary Clark had a nice win game before fouling out. Falslev is good as usual. Drake Allen, awesome. MJ Collins, I'm sure glad he's on our team. The win moves up to better seeding in the tournament. Still have 228 circled. That Grand Canyon game, so painful. We'll pound them 228 when they come in. Go Aggies. Nice game, Coach. I agree. That Grand Canyon game coming back, going to be a big one, and seeing how the Aggies respond.
I'll add in there, never bet on a man who cares more about his NIL budget than his win-loss record.
We were mentioning that because it was like great and everything they went, and it just nothing. And then we got into a deep discussion on Husky athletics and why they're horrible and everything, of course.
The Fuskies, as you like to call them.
Yes. Another couple words you add there, but we gotta keep it family friendly.
It's 11:42. You get away with
we still keep it family friendly here on Aggie Call and Aggie Game Day all the time. 6543. If you'd like to sound off, 435-554-1175. This is 6543 coming up next. We have discovered two things in the last two games. The Ags are the best team in a very weak conference. We're going to circle back to that in a second. Yeah. San Diego State and New Mexico are not good teams. My fear is that the Mountain West Conference sends a very unprepared USU team to NCAA tournament to be bounced in the first round due to lack of serious competition. I respect the opinion, 6543, but I disagree. San Diego State and New Mexico are good teams, very good teams. We did play San Diego State without Guath. Yeah, so it's not. And how would the Mountain West Conference prepare anymore? I get it. There's some things, but right now what's happening is the teams are beating up on each other, and that happens in good conference play. If you want to see a couple teams, just like three teams, run the whole gamut, that's not really entertaining basketball to me. Seeing teams fight and build, Stockton, to me, that is a resume that builds a team ready for the NCAA tournament. When you've got to squeak out big wins or even go on the road in the pit and come away with a huge quad one win.
No, this is the cornerstone of our resume. This is the win of the season for Utah State, and it's a high quality win. That's a Q1 win for Utah State. Like, to say that New Mexico and San Diego State are bad teams is objectively not true. But I will agree with the sentiment that the Mountain West doesn't prepare teams like Utah State, San Diego State, New Mexico for what they'll see in the NCAA tournament, and it's because of the style of officiating that we saw in that game, right? They call the soft stuff. They don't let guys play through contact. They whistle the softest things, and then you have like clear violations of game rules that are in the rule book that just aren't called. Like, the officials don't care. So they're looking for the soft stuff, but when it comes down to like the actual gritty basketball, they're not calling the obvious stuff. So it kind of comes down to me, not necessarily a lack of preparation from a team perspective or from a game plan perspective, but you're playing in games that are officiated so differently than they are in the Big East, the SEC, the Big Ten, the Big 12.
And, if you really, I think I agree with you. That's officiating and stuff. That's not the teams. That's not anything that. But if you really have a big issue with it, talk to Gloria. She's got the power to, increase the whatever, the consistency, the integrity, whatever you want to call it, of officiating. But I really think as a conference, those who say it's a down year, if you really look at the games, it's just the teams beating the snot out of each other left and right. 5662 up next on the Aggie Call text line. We'll still hear from Adlan Elamin and Coach Calhoun. Stockton, this one for you. I'm not sure if it's a question or a comment yet, but big-time game from everyone tonight. Adlan was a huge impact in the game, who saw a 20-point win in the pit coming. Great defense, led to an efficient offense, shot the three well, made the free throws. Check in on those Lobo fans on Twitter in the next 24 hours, and the show might be at the same place right now. So how do you feel like Lobo Gabe is going to be doing tonight? And the rest of, 14,000 people showed up for a late night Wednesday night game.
And they were filtering out of the iconic pit at the under 4 timeout.
And they thought, the amount of smack, I didn't talk much. I might have made a Breaking Bad joke or something like that. But the amount of smack talk that comes from the fan base, it's fun sometimes, but then it gets just over the top. But if you're not around at the end, if it's just crickets in Albuquerque, like it It's like
New Mexico fans have a tendency to be particularly crass and really like latch onto personal attacks rather than actual decent material. So stuff like this is extremely gratifying for sure. I will say this about Lobo Gabe in particular. I respect his dedication to the game, man. That's a dude that loves his team. I respect the heck out of that. That's a dedicated fan, and I love fans like that. But yeah, there are some other ones that I am very happy are going to be crying themselves to sleep tonight.
And see, that's where my social media presence is like, I want to allow people in that are, good and want to have good conversation. We could disagree and everything, but that line crosses, and man, I love the mute and block button and just separate it. It's like your control of who you allow in your own solar system and space. But a lot of good New Mexico fans, but a lot of smack being talked tonight. Up next, 11:07.
Speaking of smack talk, the official USU men's hoops Twitter account is getting in on this. After the Lobos posted that permission slip for being excused from work on the morning of Thursday, Utah State took the liberty to fill it out themselves after the game. It now reads, please excuse USU basketball from all responsibilities on the morning of Thursday, February 5th. Wednesday night, we have our first blah, 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 blah. We need time to celebrate on Twitter. Go Aggies. Signed, Eric Olin. Hope you're having a good night, Eric.
Oh, my God. Oh, man.
I love it. I love it.
Dude, that's
injected into my veins.
Yeah, that's
it's like I said. It's like I said, and I've seen. I'm gonna water down the version that I saw on social media about this, but New Mexico's had 18 good months of athletics after being terrible since Obama was in office. So I'm glad they had their fun, but yeah, party's over, bud.
Coming up next on the text line, and we're going to machine gun through these. You can still get in if you'd like. 435-554-1175. Up next, 11:07. Great show by the Aggies. Impressed by Calhoun balancing minutes when we got into some foul trouble. Carson had another great night. Did you know he's 6'9" and taller than Adlan? I wouldn't have guessed that. I think so. He's taller, but I think Adlam's got him beat on the wingspan.
Yeah. I will say don't always believe the numbers you read in the media guides.
What? Diego from Vanderbilt's not 6 foot tall, Stockton?
Sources tell me otherwise, but who am I to speculate?
Yeah, well, that is at the draft or at the Senior Bowl or something. I think he was measured at a nice tall 5'2". Up next, 6832. Yeah, we're a little spicy tonight. 8632 on the text line coming in here. Looks like a couple. Everyone in Aggie, woo, moo, moo. Gotcha. What a team effort. Everyone played great, kept playing like that. We're looking for a run of sorts in March. I agree. You make that extra pass, you do it. Also, Albury being a negative 21. I agree.
Former Aggies get so emotional when they play us, man, and they always just crap the bed. It's so fun to see.
He was pushing so hard at the end and going there, and I was surprised he only had one foul because things were getting kind of aggressive.
Dayton Albury's streak of losing in the pit when Mason Falslev is also in the building continues.
5452 up next on the text line. Big road win needed that. A great W. Absolutely agree. 435-554-1175. Folks, we're live here in Cache Valley on KVNU with Aggie Call. If you want to sound off on the big win, 20-point win on the road against the Lobos. 435-554-1175. Up next, got a couple ones coming in here. Satisfying, overcome a sloppy first half, foul trouble. Defense is so stifling. I'm not sure so much sloppy first half as they were just kind of, there were the weird fouls. I think the weird, some of them touch, some of them play and tackle. And then it was a real defensive effort. The Pitt MC had to urge the crowd to cheer the entire second half. Hilarious. I heard they also offered $2 nachos if you cheered too.
Oh, goodness.
Boise State was trying to get some 2 or 3 fans to show up at the corral, so they offered $2 nachos the other. But props to, speaking of that Boise State game, they had a hard time getting people there late. And you see the atmosphere there in New Mexico. Man, props to the Lobos, man, the department and everything. They've got an exciting team. The coach, I like him. I like everything about it when they're not playing the Aggies. I think they've got something special there, especially to get that many people on a weeknight that late. Our friends over in Boise couldn't get it done, but the Lobos have a rabid fan base.
Yeah, I'm always going to respect and admire the Pit and what they do in there, which makes it even more gratifying to win a game like this by 20 in their trap. Walk into your trap, take over your trap by every sense of the phrase.
I tried to say that with my kids the other day. Yeah, exactly. They rolled their eyes too. I was like,
it's like I said, man, you still say needle. There's just some things that.
Well, like I'm used to the needles on the board, although it's a digital readout now and all that stuff. But, I was like, I walked into your trap. I had some trapper beef jerky, and then we trapped some pellets. I don't know. These kids.
Hey, man, you're going to have to pay a hefty fee to watch those commercials next year.
That's right, ladies and gentlemen. The Mountain West app announcing now, in fair credit, they will hopefully revamp it. It will be a pay to watch.
I have to tell you right now, don't hold your breath.
Yeah,
probably Do not hold your breath.
Up next, 4387. What a win tonight in the Pit. Great way to say goodbye to our yearly trip to New Mexico. Some great battles over the year. Goodbye to their home winning streak. Feels good to give some payback after they beat us in the Spectrum last year. Easily the best win during Mountain West play by any team so far this year. Go Aggies. 4387. We were kind of talking, and if you're still listening, I'd like you to chime in on this, or anybody on the text line, 435-554-1175. Man, scheduling a home-and-home with the Lobos wouldn't be a bad idea in the future. Keep some of the rivalry together and stuff like that. I mean, maybe you let it simmer for a little bit, but then revisit it.
It's the same exchange that I feel like Utah State fans and BYU fans have all the time, where it's like, listen, there's a rivalry there. There's clearly some passion there. Utah State fans are going to look at this matchup and say it's a waste of our time, a waste of our scheduling, whatever. No, it's not. It's a great environment to go play in. They're always going to be a Q1, Q2 opponent. And it's the same as, we had non-conference games scheduled against like Charlotte and South Florida, which we lost, and UTEP and Weber State and Montana State and Westminster. Like, we have so much room for improvement in our non-conference schedule. And to be able to keep a couple of these Mountain West rivalries intact on our way into the Pac-12 is going to help fill out some of that non-con where, that South Florida loss was nearly devastating to our resume because of how weak our non-con schedule was. The way that we've been playing in the Mountain West over the last few weeks has certainly helped, but if we can strengthen that non-con schedule next year and in the years following by going to a place like the Pit in late November, early December, that is going to help this team's long-term resilience and long-term resume success intact.
4387 following up with that. Appreciate home and home would be great for a non-conference. I'm all for it. Yeah, it could be something interesting to see there in the future if we can do something like that, because some great rivalries, some great passion. It's a lot of fun interacting with the media from New Mexico as opposed to some of our other compatriots in the conference. So it'll be interesting to see in the future. Of course, a lot of connections with the Lobos and the Aggies when you talk about basketball, but then also up on Merlin Olsen Field, Coach Mendenhall and company and Coach Eck down there. So definitely a rivalry that hopefully we'll see continue in the future, not only on the hardwood, but who knows? Maybe in football, too. Up next, 8070 as we're about 5 minutes before midnight here on KVNU. We'll take it to the text line as long as you guys are up. 435-554-1175. We'll close out Aggie Call, hearing from Coach Calhoun and the freshman with the first double-double of his career, Adlan Elamin. Up next, 8070. It seems Dayton had this game on his calendar for a while. He was wanting it. So happy to see the team handle pressure, so much pressure than we have been. Yeah, this is definitely a check saying, can the Aggies play in a pressure-packed environment on the road? I would say you can go ahead and check that box. Very impressive. Also, I would say the second half adjustments, extremely impressive from Coach Calhoun and the coaching staff. He's back to his
witchcraft mage stuff in the locker room at halftime. That was a big thing that we saw in the first half of last year, and something we saw disappear at this time of the season last year. I put this out on social media with like 8 minutes left in the game. I was hesitant to enjoy that lead down the stretch due to the trauma, but also because this is about the time of year last year where Utah State just fell off a cliff in terms of nightly performance on offense and defense. And this is a team that, to me, played like they are doing everything in their power to avoid that February skid that they went through last year. We're seeing better defense. We're seeing a better defensive scheme, quicker defensive adjustments, quicker halftime adjustments that we didn't get at this point last year. And that, to me, is a very good sign for the next 5 weeks.
88-24 coming up next here on KVNU. And, yeah, I agree. The adjustments, I feel like the defensive screws for this team are tightening, and they're able to refine that more and more. Still a couple of boneheaded things that I'm sure Coach Calhoun's going to have plenty to run them in practice for, but it'll be interesting. Up next, so happy to see Elamin step up and hit the boards when we needed it and contribute in so many ways on offense. He's been so steady for this team when others have been up and down. I agree. I see that steadiness. I also see a slow kind of growth. Like, you could definitely see growth in his game and more refinement and getting comfortable out there. Stockton, I'm going to direct this one to you. Was there a single Clark foul that was smart or worth it? Sure wish he would make them count instead of handing them out like he has 10 to give.
My pops always told me your fouls never carry over, so get your money's worth. I think that he, like I said, I think he was an unsung hero tonight for Utah State. 6 points, 17 minutes, +9. It's not eye-popping stuff, but the physicality that he brought on defense and what he got on his return on investment for those fouls was New Mexico was hesitant to drive to the hoop for the rest of the game. They were not as aggressive in the paint. They did not use their big guys on the block nearly as much. And it's because Utah State owned the glass on defense. They owned the rebounding category. They were able to limit New Mexico's quality shooting looks. They were able to force the ball outside the perimeter with 3 or 4 seconds on the shot clock. And so I think that, even if some of Gary's fouls seemed poorly timed or boneheaded, there were a couple where you send Boljan to the line and he misses too. Yeah. There was one in the second half where that happened, and that was a great return on investment. But even if you give up 2 points at the foul line and it seems like a silly foul, that's keeping the opponent away from the hoop, because psychologically, subconsciously, that doesn't feel like an avenue of attack that is available to them. When you look at layups and dunks for New Mexico, they were 16 for 27 on layups and dunks tonight, which is a little over 50%. They just weren't getting to the hoop. You compare that with Utah State's numbers. Utah State was, 11 for 19 on layups and dunks, but they also shot 20 more threes than New Mexico did, so it was very different offensive game plans, and Utah State took New Mexico's away.
I've got issue with the last foul.
Okay.
Gary knew he had 4 fouls. That was a boneheaded play. Why are you going for the steal?
Yeah.
What, you're up with like 5 minutes left. You know your bigs are in foul trouble. You know you got Zach Keller that's hurt on that bench. Why are you going for the steal? That's not your game. That's a boneheaded move, and that's where he gets pulled out of the game real quick, because, yes, when he's focused and functioning and moving and doing that, it's there. But some of the people mentioned, why is Gary in the doghouse? It's plays like that. He needs to realize playing defense is more important than him trying to go for a steal right there, because that steal, even if it pays off, okay, maybe you get a couple points, but if it doesn't, you just picked up your foul, you're out of the game, and your team's short on bigs.
Let me play devil's advocate with this, because I hear what you're saying.
This is a pattern, though, that he gets pulled out for these, and that's the only thing I'm saying. There's some he played a great game tonight, but the reason he's not on the floor more is because of some of those choices he makes. He makes some really, really interesting choices when it comes to fouls.
I agree with you. In a lot of situations over the last couple of weeks, I agree with you. But tonight, I'm playing devil's advocate. I'm saying, listen, that aggression is what won you the game, because I talked about it extensively today. The assist-to-turnover ratio and points off turnovers is going to tell you the story of this game, and it absolutely did. Let's look at the split box. Utah State, as the defensive team, took the ball away from New Mexico 15 times, and points off turnovers, they had 19. New Mexico only had 9 turnovers off 12 9 points off 12 turnovers they generated. So that right there, if you think about, Utah State has a +4 possessions on turnovers just in that differential, plus you have the +10 points in points off turnovers. You have swings from 4-point swings from no 2 points from New Mexico turning into 2 points for Utah State. You can account for basically all 20 points of that score differential in just the assist turnover and points off turnovers categories. And so that's where I'm more forgiving with Gary trying to go for that turnover, trying to get aggressive at the end of the game, because that brand is what won you the game tonight. And so even if you're going to foul out there, you're probably going to foul out at some point down the stretch anyway. It's not the worst foul. It's not the smartest foul in the world. But to me, it's not a backbreaker and a 20-point win.
But also on this, Gary was the third worst performing Aggie of the night on the plus-minus. Like there's things to be refined, and there's reasons why his minutes are limited. There's reasons why he's 21 and Carson's 21. There's reasons why Adlan Elamin, the freshman, is getting 35 over Gary Clark, the senior that was supposed to and dominating at the beginning of the season. There's just some mistakes that you don't expect somebody of his experience to make, and that's why he's limiting himself on the floor. That's why he's limiting his minutes. Boneheaded fouls. I mean, and you can go back. There's a lot of them where he has played like he had a minute and he had 2 fouls and he's out. Like this is now we're 9 games left in the season. This is not something that's going to correct itself in the last 9 games. I mean, if it does, great, but the chances of it happening aren't. So him figuring it out and trying to that, if he wants to play more minutes, in my opinion, he's got to stop with the stupid fouls. And you can't, if you want to close, like Coach Calhoun said at the end, stop scoreboard watching. You want to close, take one for the team, play defense. That steal, that's not Gary's game. I mean, he had 1 steal on the night. You're not asking your big man to steal on a team against the Lobos. You're asking him to play defense in the block.
Yeah, but I will also firmly argue that the fouls that he gives up on occasion are far less damaging to this team than just the bad turnovers and bad shots that many other players on this team will take. And so where his highs aren't quite as high as some of the other guys, his lows are way higher than a lot of the other guys' lows. And so it's, to me, that's the guy that we picked up. Gary Clark comes from the Southland Conference. That's physical basketball. That's just what it is. He played physical basketball down in the Southeast, and that's what he does. He's going to get whistled more for it in the Mountain West because that's not the brand of basketball that a lot of teams in Mountain West play. And we know that Mountain West refs are trigger happy in situations like that. So, yes, I see that some of them are dumb, but not nearly as dumb as some of the other stuff that people on this team are doing on a more consistent basis.
We'll have to agree to disagree. I mean, I think we'll just have to move on to that. We've got to move through these next texts. Coming up next, we've got 1027. Got a couple of them here, it looks like. A strong win against a very tough team. We control our own destiny. Is that true?
Yeah. Yep.
The other bigs had a good game. Mason was consistent throughout. Our defense was the key to win. I agree on the fouls. I thought at the end Drake was getting mugged. There was some very physical, tough play. Up next, 21-11. Just seemed like our entire team played to win. Very aggressive. Some of the fouls on Perryman were very freshman-like, but the aggressive play fueled the win. Any thoughts on the aggressive play from Perryman?
Like I was saying, the aggression on defense, even giving up some of those fouls, that fueled your win tonight for sure. And yeah, there were some boneheaded plays from Elijah, but you could say that about anyone on the roster. You had to play aggressive tonight to win that game, and they executed it very, very well, in spite of some really weird and soft whistles that didn't get blown for the actual fouls.
Up next on the text line, 435-554-1175. 5822, looks like we've got. That was a super good win. Adlam's going to be a first-round pick one of these years. Go Aggies. Yeah, keeps the development and stuff going. You see it. Of course, also, I remember I watched Anthony Bennett at UNLV be the number 1 pick overall in the NBA draft, and that was, what do you say, woof?
Woof.
Up next, 89-68, we've got, where was Mr. Meyer tonight? Mr. Moore? Mr. Moore had hoops tonight. Also, Mr. Moore has a newborn, so we tend to give him the night off when it's late.
He was watching and smiling somewhere.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure he's pretty happy about it tonight. Up next, 43-96. Looks like we're in here. I might have to stay up late doing homework because of this game, but it was totally worth it.
You and me, I have some voice tracks I got to record when I get home for a project, so right there with you, bud.
But a little bit better when it's a 20-point beatdown.
Jeez, I
on the
also have a
Lobos.
psych exam tomorrow that I almost forgot forgot about. So, yeah, we're all in this together.
All right. Maybe we need to reach out to the men's basketball social media channel and say, can we get Coach Calhoun to write a class
Can I
note
use that permission slip for my psych class tomorrow, please?
8968 coming up next here on KVNU Aggie Call. Great game, but how many turnovers did Allen have? I feel like the ball handling was sloppy.
He had 5 again.
I'll grab that. Let's see what it was at for total on the team. 12-18. He has 5. He's your primary, ball handler. Mason also with 3 and score guys with 1. But that's kind of that's kind of Drake's thing. The turnover, that's something we've seen. The 4 assists there, the 4 rebounds, 3 steals there. That's kind of the trade-off you have with Drake Allen. And look, this Lobos team, they got some guys that can get in there and make some plays.
And listen, that's the risk that you're willing to take with a guy like Drake Allen, because those 5 turnovers, yeah, that's not great. But what was the final score again? 86-66. We won the game. Drake had 9 points, 4 assists, 2 personal fouls. Drake had some disgusting assists that you only get from a guy with an elite level of court vision. And sometimes when you can see the floor that well, you're going to throw passes in there that some guys can't handle. And so half of these turnovers that we're getting against Drake, I feel like are just bad ball handling on the receiving end of the pass. But it's the risk that I think you're willing to take with Drake, where he can make some tough passes that not a lot of people in this country can make. Sometimes it's going to take a weird bounce and go to the other team.
The one that sticks out to me, and it's the one we all started talking about, the playmaking ability of some of the point guards. That one where he was like maybe halfway from the key under the basket there, and he just like backdoored it right around. Yeah. Who made the cut on that? I mean,
I want to say it was Carso.
For him, it was just, but Drake saw it happen and he didn't give it away. Like he just like tucked it behind him.
He anticipates.
It was so smooth, and that's, I tell you, watching Perryman and some of the moves he makes, he gets a little bit more refinement like we're seeing with Elamin. We're going to see these guys really take off. But yeah, Drake with some of the turnovers tonight with 5, but definitely something we've watched. Coming up next, we've got 27-67. Alberry's a good player. Appreciate his time as Logan, but take King over Alberry 7 days a week. I didn't know the story of, I remember him recommitting because Jason asked, and it wasn't really like official. It was just an interview. And he said, hey, are you coming back? And he said, absolutely. I love it here. I want to be here. And then Coach Calhoun mentioned in an interview that New Mexico then threw 3 times the amount he was going to make here in Logan. And, you got to, if you're going to get that kind of money 3 times, you can't turn it down. But, wish him the best, but he was definitely on the losing end tonight.
Yep. He needed us. We didn't need him. And we found that out tonight. I know a lot of people had this mentality that they're going to cheer for Dayton Albury during the season. I'm very thrilled to see a negative 21 next to his name tonight. And I hope that he has all the success in the world once he stops playing basketball for New Mexico. But while he's playing basketball for the Lobos, couldn't care less. Bottom line.
I try to be a kinder, softer version of myself these years. I get it. I don't like it. Now ask me about UNLV or ask me about Nevada. Ask me about walking out of a game of the Thomas and Mack and having a beer poured on my son from a Wolfpack fan. Ask me how I feel about them. 9315, it's after midnight, so, things are getting a little bit loose.
Anything goes, friends.
Yeah, 93.
Except for certain phone calls. Anyway, moving.
9315. I think the coach remembered UC San Diego and the New Mexico game from last year. I sure hope that the players did also. I think so. That probably some of that coaching went into the preparation this week. Coach Calhoun and his guys looking at that game. Also, I feel like I can now go back to the Spectrum and not have to worry about the UC San Diego, because that was my first game up at the Spectrum last year.
Yeah, we almost did let you back in.
Yeah, they almost said, all right, guys, hey, superstitions. Do I need to take a goat out to Wrigley? But
we haven't lost a game that JD's attended since then. I'll say that.
It's a lot of fun to go. I was telling Ben pregame, the president of the herd, that usually the migraine takes about a week to subside after sitting in that media row in front of the herd, but well worth it. 4387 here on Aggie Call. With the win tonight in the pit. Great way to say goodbye to our yearly trip. Wait a minute. I think we had that one. Oh, home and home would be great for our conference. I think I got a couple mixed up there. This one's up next. 5662. Looks like I could see a neutral site game. Not sure it gets to a home and home. for New Mexico? That could be.
I could see New Mexico being the Salt Lake City game next year.
That'd be fun.
I think that would be a ticket seller for sure.
Yeah, I think a lot of the Lobo fans would come up and a lot of Aggie fans would go down.
And listen, a neutral floor game, that makes it more likely that it's a Q1 game for both teams. So that it's not a terrible idea.
Up next, 0891. We are live here on KVNU for Aggie Call. Tough game on Saturday after a late game tonight. Then back home, I only wish Memphis was having a better year, so that would mean a little bit more instead of having an extended break. Yeah, Memphis hasn't turned out the way that we thought, but I would never count out the creator of Little Penny from the Pepsi commercials back in the day. I'm never going to count out Penny Hardaway.
I forgot he was still their coach.
Yeah, for now.
For now.
I don't know if it's going to be much longer. They're in a tailspin, but
they're
man,
way worse than we thought they were going to be.
You can bet they're going to come to town licking their chops, wanting to take a bite out of the Aggies to kind of make a statement on a lost season.
I'm trying to find them in Ken Palm. They're 101 in Ken Palm right now. That's so much lower than we thought they'd be.
Yeah, we thought that was going to be a like.
They're under 500. They're 10 and 11 right now. My goodness, this turned out to be a terrible scheduling job.
Yeah, it might turn into a St. Valentine's Day massacre.
Yeah, this was a great game to schedule when it was scheduled, but like I've said a couple times over the last couple weeks, this is a terrible game to have on your schedule now because it's a Q3 home game against a non-conference team that takes away your bye game from your conference schedule. So, yikes, this turned into almost worst-case scenario for us, but I'm willing to look past that now that we've got this win under our belt because this is, like I said, this is the cornerstone of our resume. A 20-point win in the pit against a New Mexico team that's a comfortable Q1 win. Like, that's probably not going to change. That's huge. And to me, if there was any sort of possibility that we find ourselves on the bubble in March after that game, we're firmly off the bubble now, regardless of how the tournament shakes out.
Lobo troll extraordinaire Morticia Darling is upset with me, called me a joker. She said they were nowhere near 14K at the pit tonight when they were quiet. Apparently, that's now the talking smack point at 1 a.m.
Your official attendance number 14,419. Argue with a brick wall.
Yeah, there you go. 3588 up next, or actually we had 8787. Let's see. A heck of a win tonight. This win will carry some weight in March. Made it even sweeter to win and big in the pit. Biggest key to the game was winning the rebound battle and getting that 15 to 20 assist range. When we do those two things, it's a very dangerous team. Go Aggies. Have we heard any update on how bad Keller's injury is? Calhoun said post that he hadn't gotten there yet. We're going to hear from him in just a couple minutes when we wrap things up on the text line. But that thing, 15, wasn't that the key assist stat that you brought up the other day?
That's what I was talking about on Saturday or whenever it was, maybe last Wednesday.
I think it was Saturday we were talking about the Wyoming game, and that was the key.
Yeah, at some point last week. Utah State is 1-2 on the season. Or no, excuse me, they're 1-3 on the season when they have 14 or less assists in a game, and when they have 15 or more, they have not lost a game. They had 18 tonight.
Yeah, so that's something to keep in mind when they it seems like they make that next pass. You know, there was a shot where Carson had an open three, but he shot it across. I think it was Kobe King. I was able to spot up and drain it like that. When the Aggies just fire the ball around, it's a beautiful thing to watch. It's almost like in hockey when you watch them hand off the puck back and forth. You watch them move the ball around, and then they get a shooter that's not just open but wide open, and then they end up nailing that shot, and it was a huge difference tonight. Saw some big things there. Coming up next, 3588. Looks like we got a couple here. Holy crap, what a win. Lobo Gabe's going to have a long week. Good guy from everybody that I've heard check in from Aggie Twitter. Hate to be negative, but a few thoughts. Elamin needs to finish around the rim on those fast breaks.
He's not alone. Everyone needs to.
Yeah, he needs to gain more muscle. Well, Coach Menson's 173 every time he walks by him. So, yeah, Coach is trying to get that. Great coaching by Calhoun. I don't really like our fans sometimes saying sack him after two losses.
Recency bias.
Yeah, 3588. Fans is short for fanatics. We all get there.
The word derives itself from psychosis.
Yeah,
so.
I mean it is, and so we just have to every once in a while we get there, and we just have to give them like a Tootsie Pop or something and say work it out, and we come back to something like this. Also adds 3588. Also, coach seems like he had a done next mentality. Love to see it. Well, they're staying in Albuquerque tonight, flying to Laramie tomorrow, getting ready for the game against the Cowboys out there. Quick turnaround for that action. But, man, so it'll be quick to see the turnaround on that, how the team does after that big win, and then has to go into Laramie, which is not an easy place to go play.
Sneaky scary to play in Arena Auditorium.
So it'll be interesting to see. 12:05. Sorry, that's a timestamp. 9311. I agree with Stockton on Gary. Phil, his floor is higher than others. Still needs to tighten it up, though.
Yeah, listen, I think, and I'll echo this about pretty much all our big guys. I was talking about this a little bit earlier. I think a lot of those fouls come from their inability to stay disciplined on going straight up on some of those block defense opportunities. Like they have a tendency to try and swing down on guys and swing down through the shot, swing down through the ball. Most of the time, you're going to clip a shoulder, clip an arm, clip an elbow, or Gary trying to go in for a steal. If you're swatting at the ball, then you're going to draw a foul most of the time. The reason that Drake is so effective at getting his hands in the stealing lanes, and watch him play defense, because he'll stay just a little bit off the ball, but it gives him this envelope of movement where he anticipates the game so well. He's the best anticipator that we have on this roster. But he'll stay off the ball a little bit. He'll keep himself away from that dangerous, like, reaching, swatting range, and he'll jump into the passing lanes. He'll wait for the ball to be leaving someone's hands. He'll watch the eyes, and that's when he'll go at it. You can't continuously just swat at guys' arms and hands while they have the ball, because it's going to draw whistles in this league. We know that by now. So he does need to tighten it up a little bit, but that physical presence, I feel like, is his lows are a lot higher than some of the other lows we've seen on this team.
I can agree with that. Absolutely. I think the expectation from Gary Clark, and of course expectations are nothing he did, just expectations I have of him, after we saw a double-double machine starting the year, like I really felt like we were seeing something kind of special as a double-double machine working through, but then, not kind of there.
To be fair, our first 5 games were Westminster, VCU, Weber State, UTEP, and Tulane. So,
but then Adlan has a double-double against the Lobos of the Pit.
That's true, but how many minutes did Adlan play tonight? How many minutes did Gary play tonight? What are their roles on the offense? What are their roles on the defense? Like it's slightly different. But I agree with you where Gary, his ceiling should be higher. He should be performing a little bit better, but I don't think it's quite as bad as some people are starting to feel like.
Up next on the text line, we've got 1326. Proud of Carson for hitting 2 free throws after airballing one. Hey, we don't talk about that stuff. 1326 going on to say Adlan is key to the Aggies defense this year. He was what was missing last year. We left so many open threes last year.
They still did today.
I love Adlan. I love his length, but he needs to reel it back in just a little bit, I think, because one of the things we've noticed is that the Lobos and San Diego State, when they got open threes where the Aggies didn't rotate off or there was a communication breakdown, Stockton, they were draining it at the bottom of the dish.
You have to know where their shooters are. It's one of the things that we pointed out in pregame, right, is they have a tendency to lose shooters on the wing and in the corner in transition because they'll turn their attention to the ball in the key, not realizing it's designed in and out like so many teams have run against this defense this season. And then they'll turn their back to the shooters that are standing uncontested in the corner to the point where you get the pass off and they have 3 uncontested seconds to get the shot off. That's a lot of time in basketball. That is a lot of time from the short side of the three-point line. So they have got to do a better job of keeping up with the shooters, knowing where they are, and not turning their backs on shooters in the corners. You can't. Someone has to stay committed to that shooter, even if the ball is collapsing inside. You got to trust that you've got 2 more guys on the key that are going to help and play help defense there. You have to stop turning your back to guys in the corner that are wide open.
We saw that with Hall. When he got loose out there in the corner, you saw his mop flopping out there, and Kobe King just starts creeping towards the paint a little bit, and he's there. Now, it didn't end, but the sequence before, they went to him, and he was able to drain it. And it's like you're tempting him to get there. And like Kobe and Drake have that almost anticipation you were just talking about. Like, I see them as like a free safety, reading the quarterback's eyes and how it's going to go. They can do that. Man, they're leaving them out there pretty far for those threes.
And this is one of the issues that I've always had with zone defense in any form is in zone, you've got to pay attention to where your zone is, where your home is, and where the transition areas are, when it's acceptable to play help defense and when you don't need to be playing help defense. This is what a lot of guys get pulled off of those shooters for, is they're trying to make the play on a defensive possession. They're trying to get their hand on the ball. They're trying to block the shot. They're trying to follow the ball to the rim, but they're not staying home. Like, it is something I used to yell to teammates on the floor all the time when we were playing zone, is you have to stay home. You cannot be creeping away from your spot because you're following the ball and you're getting, big hard eyes at the opportunity for a tip pass or a block or something. You have to stay home, because if you get out of your zone and the rest of your team is committed to their zones, there's going to be 10 feet of empty space in the corner like we saw a lot of times in that first half. You got to be more disciplined with staying in your home when you're playing this zone defense, and it's something Utah State is pulled out of rather frequently.
Coming up next on the text line, we've got 1027. I will write you a note to get out of class, Stockton, is what 1027 says.
Thank you, brother.
I don't know if they have it in the juice to pull that off.
Just write it like a doctor, and they can't really read it. No one can question it.
Yeah. 0158. Man, I appreciate you writing in, because you give comic relief to end the night before we get into stuff.
I would pay to organize this.
Yeah.
I would pay to organize this.
So 0158 is throwing down the gauntlet. He can beat Gary Clark in a one-on-one game of basketball. I might be able to sell sponsorships to that. I might be able to boost student recruitment, NIL, get the herd cut in on it. So we'll see what we can do about that. Drake Allen will be pick number 1 in the NBA draft for 2026. All right.
How much you want to bet on that?
No, but what I would like to say is that if you have an addiction problem, Renaissance Ranch can help you out. You might be on the sauce a little bit tonight. If you're dropping that, I love Drake, but he's not going to be the number 1 pick in the NBA, and I'm going to bet dollars donuts that you can't beat Gary Clark in a pickup game. So
somebody had a little too much fun in Albuquerque with the local culture, I think.
I think they call it moonshine down there.
The birth of NASCAR, baby. Don't even get me started.
Well, with that, we're going to go ahead and take a quick break here, get set up to get you some post-game interviews. We're going to hear from Adlan Elamin and also Coach Calhoun. Come back, wrap up some final thoughts. That's right, ladies and gentlemen. We are still alive after the Aggies dropped a 20-point beatdown on the Lobos in New Mexico at the Pit. Coming back, we'll hear from Adlan up first, then Coach Calhoun. Wrap up with some final thoughts. And if you've got some final thoughts, 435-554-1175 for Aggie Call.
If you live in Box Elder County, help for ear, nose, and throat issues just got a whole lot closer. Cache Valley Ear, Nose, and Throat is coming to you in their new Brigham City location February 5th. With over 75 years of combined provider experience, Dr. Jackson Deere is ready to care for allergies, asthma, sinus problems, hearing loss, and more in the Brigham City community. 990 South Medical Drive next to the Brigham City Hospital. Call 753-7880 to schedule or visit CacheValleyENT.com. Trusted care coming February 5th to Brigham City.
The chips and drinks are endless. The burrito is huge for only $7.95. It's got to be Cafe Sabor, Cache Valley's best Mexican restaurant and gold medal winner in the Best of Northern Utah contest. Experience Locals Day every Thursday with a huge burrito, endless chips and soda, only $7.95. Finding any lunch under $10 is nearly impossible. Every Thursday, drinks, chips, and a massive burrito. You pay just $7.95. The food, the fun at Cafe Sabor in the historic train station on 6th West and Center in Logan.
What do Valentine's Day and Jerrick's have in common? They're both all about the romance. Jerrick's Fine Jewelry has a great selection for your sweetheart. Don't sweat it out worrying about where to get the perfect gift. We've recently added a 3D laser engraver. Now through Valentine's, Jerrick's will personalize any jewelry purchase for no additional charge. We can engrave a wedding date, a name, or any message on most jewelry, like a pendant, watch, bracelet, the inside or outside of a ring. This Valentine's, let us help personalize your gift and make it special. Make it Jerrick's.
Fall in love all over again this Valentine's at the Riverwood Sweetheart Soiree. Join us February 14th from 6 to 9 p.m. for an unforgettable evening of romance. Enjoy a gourmet prime rib buffet complete with irresistible sweetheart desserts. Savor every moment while enjoying live music from Kellen and Kendall, setting the perfect mood for the evening. And sip and smile with an all-you-can-drink soda bar. Make this Valentine's more than dinner. Make it an experience at the Riverwood Sweetheart Soiree. Visit riverwoodsvalentinebuffet.planningpod.com. riverwoodsvalentinebuffet.planningpod.com.
We're talking with Tyson from Mountain Valley Heating and Air Conditioning about air quality.
Yeah, I think a lot of people would be surprised to learn that the air inside your home is 5 times worse than the air outside.
So Tyson, what can people do?
We install steam humidifiers into homes. Steam humidifiers use 1 gallon of water per hour, and they use 100% of that 1 gallon to humidify the air in your home. So if you call Mountain Valley, we'll come out and do a free assessment and see if it's a good fit for you. The phone number is 435-753-5170.
The Aggies are always #1 here. It's KVNU Aggie Game Day with J.D. Walker and Stockton Jukes.
Welcome to an early, late, I guess, depending on how you look at it. It's Thursday morning, Cache Valley, sitting about 12:30. 28 degrees outside the KVNU studios with that beautiful blue A outside. A couple of texts to get to before we get into Adlan Elamin's interview here on Aggie Call. Stockton, I'll go ahead and have you load those up real quick.
Yeah, so we had 9315 with a clarifying question just before we get to these interviews and get out of here for the night, but wanting to know how many Q1 games that makes up to this point, including non-conference. So Utah State has now played in 4 Quad 1 games, and they are 2-2 in those games. Your losses are at Grand Canyon and at South Florida. A Q1 game on the road is anyone that is between 1 and 75 in the net. So South Florida currently sitting at 62 in the net. That means that because we were at South Florida, that's a Q1 loss. And Grand Canyon is also in that top 75 at Grand Canyon. That's a Q1 loss. But then New Mexico, being in this top 40 even, the top 43, they're 43rd right now. They might slip a little bit, but Utah State's a quality opponent, so they might not really move. That becomes a Q1 win, and again, I don't think that'll change. They'll have to drop 34, 33 spots between now and the end of the season for that to not be a Q1 game for us anymore. And then Boise State, because we were at Boise and they are currently 59th in the net, that was a Q1 win as well. So 4 total, and we're 500 in Q1 games. You look through the rest of the columns here. Utah State is 5-0 in Q2 games, 6-1 in Q3. That UNLV loss is just terrible, especially after last. That's inexcusable. And then 5-0 in Q4 games.
All right. So final text in there, 435-554-1175. Time for a couple more as we've got about 12 minutes left here. Interviews with Adlan and Coach Calhoun. Right now, Adlan Elamin posting his first career double-double. Here's his post-game thoughts after the big win at the Pit in New Mexico.
Hey, Adlan, this is Sean from the Herald-Journal. Can you just talk about that second half? It seemed you guys really pretty good effort to start that second half and then just had some good runs.
Yeah, I mean, we just had to get stops and clean up the boards, win the board margin. And when we focused on that, everything kind of opened up. I think we gave us too many points in the last 3 minutes, but everything pretty much opened up for us in the second half once we did that.
Adlan, this is Jason Walker with Cache Valley Daily. You had a double-double yourself, first career double-double, 10 rebounds. I guess, were you worried that you had that many rebounds, and just how's that for you playing a big part in, getting all those rebounds and out-rebounding New Mexico?
Well, you said, what was the question?
I guess, just what was it like for you being a big part of that, being a big part of how Utah State was able to do that?
My coach has been on me to side the glass. They think I can get every board that I really go and put my mind to go get. So I just had the mindset to go get every board, and they weren't really boxing me out too much. And once I seen that, I just kept crashing.
Hey, Adlan, this is Sean again. How did you guys deal with the foul trouble? Did that make you have to rebound more with the foul trouble you guys were dealing with, and with Zach getting hurt?
I think that's what made us a little less aggressive. We were a little too worried about fouling because a lot of us were in foul trouble, and I think that's why they ended up giving up too many points. But I'm not sure if that opened up the rebounds for me, but yeah.
Hey, Adlan, this is Patrick Maywarden from the Ag Ship. How important was it to take the crowd out of the game early? You never really let them into it.
Really important. I mean, we knew we had to stay together we knew it was a tough environment, one of the toughest in the country, but we took it upon ourselves to just stay together, stay locked in, and we got the results we wanted.
Hey, Adlan Markrino with Utah Statesman. You guys shot a lot of threes tonight, 17 in the first half. Seemed like you were kind of struggling to get good inside looks, especially in the first half, and then kind of just led to the three ball. How just kind of what did you guys see that led to that?
I feel like we got a lot of good looks, got a lot of open looks in the first half. We just weren't really knocking them down. We just stayed poised and knew that eventually they'll start knocking down, and we started hitting more shots in the second half because we trusted each other.
You guys shut down New Mexico 3-point wise. They only attempted 13. They only made 3. What was the key for you guys defending the 3-point line, especially Jake Hall, where he's made a lot of those?
Just being disciplined on defense. We know he likes to pump fake and draw a lot of fouls. So we just wanted to stay disciplined, stay to the game plan, to be aggressive on the ball, and take away all the threes.
Carson Frost with the Utah Statesman. How are you guys able to maintain your pace with all the fouls? Because in the past, these high foul games really slowed you guys down on offense.
I think it's just our next play mentality. We know that even when we get in foul trouble, we still got to keep playing. We got a deep team, so we know we have bodies even for foul trouble. So yeah, that's pretty much our mindset.
Adlan Elamin, the freshman, with his first career double-double tonight as the Aggies take down the Lobos by 20 points in the pit, probably handing them a remarkable loss that they'll remember for a long time. The first time they've lost since December 2024, one of the longest home winning streaks in the country, snapped by the Utah State Aggies, coached by Coach Jerrod Calhoun, joining us now with his post-game comments here on Aggie Call.
Talk about being able to go in there and just kind of take their crowd out of it and get a big road win tonight.
Yeah, I mean, just a complete effort, both sides of the ball. I thought we forced, just a ton of turnovers, which led to great transition. Once again, out-rebounded our opponent. But, yeah, I thought it was a good team effort. A lot of guys stepped up. I thought Mason had a stretch where he really, really carried us. Great execution on both sides. Hard place to play. Ton of respect for, Coach and their program. But, we'll enjoy it tonight. And, we got another really hard game on Saturday.
Coach, this is Jason Walker with Cache Valley Daily. How do your team manage to kind of stay ahead even when committing a lot of fouls? Because that's typically caused some problems in previous games. Just how are you guys able to maintain the pace and stay ahead despite some of those calls?
Yeah, I mean, I thought our message today was just play like men, right? We're the older team. That's how we recruit. We want to play like men on the road. And I thought we got, a lot of efforts from a lot of guys, and it's we over me. There has to be a sense of urgency. You're down to 9 games left. Every possession is really, really important. And, we wanted to stay in first. So now, we're going to get Wyoming's best shot. So we got to be ready to go.
Coach Mark Green with Utah Statesman. Just wanted to ask an update on Zach, how he's doing. They showed him on the bench. Looked like he wasn't, wrapped up or anything, but just curious.
Yeah, we'll look at it in the morning. Obviously, it's an ankle sprain. He'll get treatment tonight, and hopefully he'll be ready to go. He acted like he could have went back in. I wasn't super confident with it, and I thought Gary and KT played well. He played really well early, Zach. I thought he had bounce in his step. I thought he did a really nice job of walling up. So he's a massive body. So hopefully we'll have him for Wyoming, but too early to tell.
Coach, how big was Adlan as far as his rebounding? Gets a career high 10, gets his first double-double. Just how big was he? Especially when he didn't have Zach.
I thought he was everywhere. I thought his long arms just kept grabbing him, whether it was a defense or an offensive rebound. Made huge, timely rebounds. Right. I thought our discipline the last 8 or 9 minutes, was really good. Right. Like they're driving. They went to a small lineup. That's really good coaching. We had to guard the bounce. Right. They cut it to about 16. And we had to continue to guard the bounce because they had 5 guards in at one point. So really, really proud of the way the guys, closed the game out. We had 2 or 3 possessions I wasn't too pleased with where we didn't even get back on defense. And those are some teaching moments. But to come in the pit and win by 20 and hold them to 66 is a tremendous team win.
Hey, Coach, Patrick Mayhorn from the Ag Ship did not give up a made 3 in the second half, only gave up 3 in the first half. And you talk a lot about inch outs. What did you think of the inch outs, the 3-point defense in general against a really good shooting team?
Yeah, we just weren't going to let J. Call beat us. There was going to be awareness everywhere he was as soon as they get jump ball started. They do a really good job. Eric's a great offensive mind. They in-screen. They run some different wrinkles for him. We wanted to keep DA left, really inch out to him, stay down on the other guys. They're great shot fake guys. They get to the paint. And then as soon as they picked it up, we got to get to shooters and run them off and make them shoot mid-range twos. And you saw all the mid-range twos we forced. That's great defense. And really sticking to the plan.
Coach
Carson
Mark,
Frost with the Utah Statesman. Coach, just obviously no one likes to lose, but what do those couple of recent conference losses just do to help your team be where they are today? Because a lot of the issues you guys were having a couple of weeks ago seem to have completely flipped.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, we didn't really, stress that much about it. Just try to learn from those losses. It's very, very difficult in our conference, right? This is a very good conference, a conference that gets 5 bids a year, 6 2 years ago, 4 last year. Very difficult conference to run the table or go 18-2 or 19-1. So you're going to have losses, but I think it just, more attention to detail, playing tougher. You grow through wins and losses, right? You can never be high, too low. Winning can be just as dangerous as losing. So we got to have good focus here the next 48 hours.
Coach Mark Greenwood again. These two teams played a very, very similar game at pretty much the exact same point in the season a year ago. They went the other way. New Mexico came into the Spectrum and won in a similar manner. And that kind of set up the rest of the season for both teams. Just what does this do for you guys having this game to kind of set up your runway now the rest of the
Yeah, I mean, honestly, it's just one game. It's not, it's not the end of the world. They're not crowning us a champion tonight. That's how I look at it. I mean, I don't want to be a Debbie Downer, but we got 9 games to go. We've been in this position before. We should be very proud and pleased and, very gratified with our effort. But the end of the day, when we wake up tomorrow, we got Wyoming 24 hours later. So that's how college basketball is. There's a lot of highs and lows, and can't get too high, can't get too low. Got to stay really focused on the task. And we knew going into this 2-game road trip, these are going to be tough because road wins are hard to come by.
Coach, I want to ask about Carson Templin. Obviously playing with some foul trouble there down the stretch, but handled it the last 5 minutes, didn't pick up any others, had 12 points, 5 boards. How important was he really in the second half, but just in general with the energy and the effort that he plays with?
Yeah, I mean, he was relieving Drake with a lot of that pressure. His jump balls are really good. Offensive putbacks were tremendous. Those offensive rebounds. Lobs, the lob threat and the pick and roll with Mason. I thought Mason timed that nicely. Him and KT are a great 1-2 punch and a pick and roll. But we needed him out there. I mean, he's tough. He's smart. He's a veteran, and you got to have your veteran guys step up.
Coach Calhoun's post-game comments here on KVNU. Aggie call about 20 minutes before beautiful 1 o'clock a.m. on a Thursday morning. I believe you've got a psych test, is what I heard you say, right?
Something or other. I'll figure it out in the morning. It's
like
a
that
problem. Well, I guess it's a today problem now.
Yeah, I got Craig and Will that'll be tagging in for me for a little bit on the Valley's Morning News. Going to go back and try to get a quick gas and go sleep before back on the air tomorrow morning. But final thoughts here. Still getting some smack talk from Lobo fans, and we were talking with Jason Walker, who's just getting ready to head on out the door. His write-up will be on Cache Valley Daily here in a little bit. But we were talking like if we don't instigate, but if they come at us, we will. And so, I shared a tweet. I said simply, I've never heard 14,000 people in a pit so quiet. And then got tweeted back a Logo fan, trying to, be funny and everything. And they said it was at 11 o'clock on a Wednesday night. Stockton, our bad. That's when all the ankle monitors will go off if they're not at home and the POs can't call. I get it. Lobos can't play late games because those ankle monitors, those ankle bracelets, that nice little jewelry that they have there in Albuquerque.
Listen, I was told it was a big deal that they were playing a Q1 home game for the first time in 2 years. I guess we shouldn't make those big deal anymore.
But yeah, it's kind of funny. It's funny, the fans and everything going on and back and forth. But
I just think that it's funny that's the number they choose to argue tonight because there's not a whole lot of numbers they can latch on to other than that. So, listen, I heard from an inside source that may or may not have been in the pit tonight that they do a great job and they're pretty consistently loud, but even at their loudest, they don't hit the same overwhelming level of noise that we get in the Spectrum. And there's a lot you can compare and contrast about those two venues. Two very good basketball teams with two very passionate fan bases. Utah State took parental ownership of New Mexico this evening in their own building. So if you need to focus on the attendance numbers to make yourself feel better about what just happened, feel free. I'm going to worry about the final score.
It's just you grasp onto anything you can, and it was kind of funny because we try not to engage. I like using the block button and the mute button a lot because it keeps my peace.
I'm a grown man now. I don't have time for all that.
Yeah, but every once in a while, when you're going to come at me and tell me it's an 11 o'clock game and we can't be out there because we have lives, ladies and gentlemen, yeah, so do Aggie fans that travel up here from Salt Lake, from all over the place to do it and show out on a weekday game to take care of business against whoever comes to town. So tonight, the pit is now the Spectrum South.
They're already photoshopping pictures of the pit on Twitter right now as we speak.
That's the last visit down to the pit for us for a while. We've talked about some home and home, some neutral court stuff that would be kind of fun, and as always, it'd be fun to get in it with the fans. The troll accounts, not so much, but the true fans, Lobo Gabe,
tonight.
It is fun tonight. We will, but I can't stay up too late responding to troll accounts because some of us have grown-up jobs to do. It's not like, I don't have an ACO monitor. I'm free to roam the country. I have all my rights.
Yeah, but we don't let you roam very often. That's how bad things can happen.
Yeah, really bad. All right, we're a little punchy. It's almost 1 o'clock in the morning, folks. We're going to go ahead and wrap it up here on Aggie Call. For Stockton Jukes, J.D. Walker, the next time we talk, we've got a 6 o'clock tip. Is that on Saturday? We'll be in Laradice, so that's going to be 5 o'clock for us on Saturday afternoon. Some time to kind of rest up and make sure you do well in your psych test coming up.
Don't hold your breath, folks.
But going to be beautiful weather coming up today through the week. We're looking at 55 degrees and sunshine, so enjoy it. Storm system coming in next week. I hope to get you some more snow up there at the Beeve. But
it's been like a full month since we got snow.
The Alta is 12.5 feet below normal, snow-wise. 12.5 feet. Just let that sit in there just a little bit. That's a stat I saw this morning.
Awesome. Wow.
Yeah, great. I'll let you go home and sweet dreams, Stockton.
Nice.
For Stockton Jukes, Jay Lamore, I'm J.D. Walker. That's been Aggie Call, a big victory as the Aggies take down the Lobo in the pit. We'll have a great night, guys. Be rested. Take care of yourself. If you're out there driving, be safe. If not, good night, Aggie fans. That A is blue, and that means sweet dreams for all of us.
On a corner in Winslow, Arizona, it's such a fine sight to see. It's a girl, my lord, in a flatbed Ford, slowing down to take a look at me. Come on, baby, don't say baby. I gotta know if your sweet love is gonna save me. We may lose and we may win, but we will never be here again. So open up, I'm climbing in. So take it easy.
This Utah State broadcast has been a presentation of News Talk KVNU and the Cache Valley Media Group, the heritage home for the Aggies.